Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello and welcome. Hopefully it's welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide world-class education, hope, and inspiration to all of our fans across the world. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is The Art of Creating Mental Health Wealth. Our topic is how planting trees has healed my wounds. We have a very special guest joining us from Kenya. But first, let's welcome the star of our show, JENETTA Barry, and the Epiphany Process, also joining us from Kenya. Hello, JENETTA.
Hello, Dr. Jacalyn. Again, very special to be with you again. And welcome back to our viewers and listeners for another insightful, heart-opening show today with somebody who's very close to my heart, means so much to me. And Shamim and I actually met through really difficult circumstances. And some of you may remember, in fact, it's the 10th anniversary this year of this happening. But some of you may remember where there was a terrorist attack in Kenya in a shopping mall. So I thought I'd give a bit of background on that before I introduce our guest. So the Westgate shopping mall terrorist attack happened on the 21st of September, and I happened to be not in Kenya at that time. And in fact, a client of mine phoned me up and said, you better get right in and I'll pay for your ticket. You've got to be there to help people. And whilst that was happening, I was actually helping somebody who was actually in at that time, and she was messaging her brother, and I was giving messages back to her as she was holed up, surrounded by a whole load of injured people, trying to keep as quiet as possible. So we've got a couple of slides to show you of that attack, nothing gory, just to give you an insight of what that was about. So Dr. Jacalyn, if you can bring those up, that would be great. So this is the first one, which is the actual, one of the terrorists. Now, these terrorists were from Somalia, known as Al-Shabaab terrorists. And they just came in, they threw hand grenades, and they shot people at point blank range. They came through the Art Cafe restaurant and went through. And here's another shot of them. This is them in the supermarket, and eventually they hold themselves up in the back of the supermarket, and the attack eventually ended by them doing that. And another one of my clients who I helped with was in one of the storerooms to where they were shooting, and she was able to get over having had that happen to her after she came out, when I was able to sit with her and work her trauma through. This is a very well-known picture where armed civilians came into the shopping center to help protect and evacuate people who'd been stuck there. And these two, this hit the international press. It was in fact, the lady on the left, I think, had something like 6 children with her. And you can see there's one of the civilians armed, making sure they can get out safely from the terrorists. This is also afterwards, the armies got into the the Kenyan army into the shopping mall, and they're helping people who'd got holed up in different shops. And you can see there's a picture there of, on the left, one of the panes in the shop window got shattered with all that was going on. And here's another one with a soldier on the right and a mum and baby on the left trying to get out. And this is outside as everybody was getting out. And then there was a siege for about 24, 48 hours. And in the end, the whole center collapsed and all sorts of things started happening. Now, why I've shared that with you is that my guest today was one of the people that was in that shopping center. And I'm not going to say anything more except to say that Shamim Allu is an exceptional person. I love her dearly. She and I have followed each other in our journeys since that terrorist attack. And she's going to share her story and what happened, our connection, and where it's taken her. So welcome, Shamim Allu.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you, JENETTA, and thank you, Dr. Jacalyn, for having me here. Well, it's morning for you, it's evening for us in Kenya. It's amazing, I've watched the clips just now, and it always sends a chill in my spine a little bit. It sort of makes me aware that I'm one of the really fortunate ones who made it that day. There was about 64 people who didn't make it, and that took time. Their healing and the rest of it, I'm not sure for the ones who were left how they're healing well, but I for one was injured quite badly. I was hit with bullets, and I was also struck with the shrapnel from the grenade. So that sort of was my little cap, and I had to spend a lot of hours waiting for help to arrive. And whilst I waited, I was part of a media team. And there was a cooking show going on. There's a lot of children involved. And there was children who lost their lives as well that day. But I had a little boy beside me, and he was gone. And I kept my eyes on something. I thought, well, if I look down, I'm going to break down. I've got to look somewhere else. I've got to take my attention somewhere else. I've always been a very optimistic person. And I found the trees to the far left of where we were on the top floor, so I could see where the trees were. And so I kept my eyes on the trees, and I waited many hours. I actually thought at some point maybe I was going to not make it that day, but something kept me together. Something, I think, nobody plans to be in a situation like that, but when it does happen, everything that is you, the essence of you, comes through, and that's what pulled me through, I think, that day. And lots of people who helped, who came through, who helped with, donations. I remember the first round of help came at about 4 o'clock. We were already hit at about 12:30, and it was many hours of waiting. But when I looked at the trees, I thought, you know what? If I make it today, I'm going to do something for the trees. And it was when I was picked up at about 4:30, and I realized that I'd lost my hearing from the implosion, and also I didn't know that I'd been hit so badly. It's amazing. Adrenaline, or call it, the mind, or high being, whatever it was, there was no pain. But I'd been shot twice in the arm, twice in my back, just missed the spine, and I'd been shot in the ankle. And I'd been hit by the grenade. But I didn't see any of it. That was the funny part. And I think that sort of kept me together as well. Anyway, finally, it was a long story, getting back, getting well. But the thing I realized is when I woke up on Sunday morning, this was after the attack, I asked the doctor if I had a colostomy bag because I knew part of my colon had been removed. And he said no. And I said, well, then I forgive the people who shot me. And he said, well, that's the medication talking. I said, no, it's not. I need to get well. I've heard about the extent of my injuries. I don't feel it because obviously I was very high on some nice stuff. But I said, then I forgive the people who shot me. And, I spent 3 weeks on my back in hospital, came home. I'm pretty fit, but I came home in a wheelchair. That was the reality of life. And it was crutches for the next 2 years. But whilst I was still on the crutches, it was an afternoon, a beautiful afternoon. And I remember meeting JENETTA, and she came home, and we sat there and talked about healing and all the rest of it. And she said the most amazing thing, which I've never forgotten. JENETTA said, "Have you got gratitude?" And I said, "Oh, yes, I do." And she said, No. Do you have gratitude for what happened to you? And to be honest, JENETTA's a tiny little person, one of the sweetest human beings you've ever met. And I thought, how can I have gratitude for that? She said, "Your life changed. Yes, there's a pronounced limp. Maybe you'll never let go of the crutch. And maybe you'll walk for the rest of your life with a crutch. But are you grateful for what happened?" And she said, everything changed in those few minutes that you were hurt. Your life changed. And I said, well, I know it was World Peace Day on the 21st of September. So that changed. My vision of life changed. I became a more patient person, and a forgiving person. And she said, well, no. Do you have gratitude towards the people who shot you? And that shook me. That really did shake me up. And it took time. I can't say it happened overnight. It took time. And I kept asking myself the same question that JENETTA had posed to me. Do I have gratitude towards the people who hurt me? And in time, in a few months, with a lot of practice, yes. Today I can say if I was to meet one of them or three of them or however many they were, I would say, I might hit them because of the pain they caused me, but I might also say thank you because they changed my life for the better. They were angry at conditions, situations, themselves, everything, maybe. But I refuse to carry them on my back. But I am extremely grateful because had that day not happened, I would not be the person I am today. And that's where Trees for Peace was born. It was born on a very violent day, the 21st of September, which is World Peace Day. I now do trees. It's a foundation that I'm setting up. And to talk about the power of peace, to talk about the power of gratitude and appreciation and forgiveness, because that was my personal healing. It was the choice I made. It was the easiest option I had. And that is the option and the road I took. And I thank JENETTA for having walked that path with me. And here we are, 10 years on.
Such a special, incredible story. I'm just really moved to tears.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn.
Thank you. I would love for you to share with us, because that's such a powerful question that JENETTA posed to you, that I'm actually taking that in myself and thinking about various things. What was your life like before this happened? In other words, when you look at, you're grateful for the change. What was the profound change that took place?
Dr. Jacalyn, I think, I've been in media, I've been in art for many years. Media, obviously, a very glamorous job to be in. But I think somewhere, I'm born on the 2nd of October with Gandhi, so I always thought, I was the greatest peace ambassador. But the reality is that my message was not strong enough. It was not powerful enough. Today, when I talk about peace, I can stand up and I can say, if you don't find that strength to be peaceful with yourself, in your own heart, you can't share it with the other people. And you have a chance of ending up with scars like mine. I'm extremely fortunate that the scars are there, and I carry them like my badge, because I think that changed. I became a more patient human being. Little things don't irk me anymore, which they would have, small things. I don't sweat the small stuff anymore. It's like, it's fine, it's okay. It's another day. We get through it. Anger. I don't prescribe to anger because I know what anger did to me. But we all do get angry. I only allow myself the luxury of a few minutes of anger. After that, no more. I can't carry it anymore. So that's my journey. And yes, trees, I think, I'm very, very passionate about, because they did that day, looking at the trees. I've always been very strong with the environment because I grew up on a farm. But that day, the trees actually did stand in, and they, you know, they were the only thing that I could look at that kept my focus on something positive. And I think I can find positive in anything, but that particular day was hard to find it. But the trees did it for me.
You know, Shamim, I remember when we did meet up and we had our session together, there was quite a lot you did talk about. The fact that you could see the trees because you were on top of the building with this cooking demonstration with East FM radio.
Right.
And yeah, and the fact that you could see those trees when most others were underneath, although all those people in the cookery demonstration got really severely affected. In fact, before I go into the next thing I was going to say, one of the things that astounded me when I worked with people who had been on the top, how they said there were babies in arms, and the terrorists went away and then they came back again. And then
Correct.
the babies, everybody was hiding behind cars and things so they couldn't be seen. And those babies were dead quiet. They didn't, they knew to keep absolutely quiet.
It was the stillness of the day, of the moment, that I never forget. Even now, I can feel the temperature on my skin and the stillness of that day, that afternoon. It was incredible.
Yeah, quite something. And I also remember you mentioning you'd lost your mum the year before. And
Actually, I lost my mum.
It was that year. Yeah.
It was the same.
And
the same year.
Yes, and you mentioned something very special that happened whilst you were looking at trees too. And I'd love you to share this with people.
We lost mum in January of the year 2013. And I'd just come back to Kenya. Mum passed away in the United Kingdom. And it was a journey. It was, you know, she battled cancer. She never said she battled cancer. Mum said she lived with cancer. She was given prognosis of 6 months, and Mum pulled 12 years. So, you know, we're very grateful. And her strength, I think, resides in all four of us. We're 4 siblings. I'm the eldest in the family. I have a brother and 2 other sisters. And I remember, I thought I was slipping at that time, seeing my mom in a pink dress. And I thought, oh my God, my mom's here. Mom's here. And then I think that is something that gives you that moment, whether you call it faith or hope or whatever. That was the moment where I think it was the turning point for me. I thought, okay, I'm going to make it. I might not be able to walk and crawl out, but I'm going to stay where I am. And I'm going to stay exactly where I am. I'm not going to move. But what I did do was I wrote my name on the car that I was against, and wrote my name and put my phone number down, because I'd given my handbag to a friend to take away. And then it was really hilarious, because weeks later, when one of our friends who was part of that team came and saw me and said, you know, it was full of drama, Shamim. So I didn't expect that from you. And I thought, oh my God, did I scream? Did I yell? What did I do that was wrong? He said, you wrote your name on the car. He said, I knew exactly where you'd be. And I said, well, I thought if I kick the bucket, then somebody should know who's lying there. And he said, that is funny that you think of things like that in the moment. And I thought, well, but it's truth. I had no identification. Who would know who I am? Well, maybe they would. I've been on media for a while. But I just wanted to be sure that whoever found me wouldn't have to struggle. You know, they'd know, okay, this is the number to call, and this is the person who's gone. And I think when we can be light about life, generally, then in an adverse moment like that lightness comes into play.
Absolutely. You know, I sense this incredible lightness and brightness from when we met backstage. I had no idea that this such a heavy, depressing situation that could be just take somebody with anger for the rest of their life and then go ahead and spread that anger out into the world. And yet you're so light and bright and beautiful. So I really commend you for the work that you've been doing. And we've got
Thank
several
you.
comments, by the way. I'm just going to spotlight this from George. Hi, George. So good to
Yeah.
have you with us. George is also in Kenya. And he writes, this is terrific, Jim. I'm glad that you've used the tragedy of the Westgate to champion peace innovation. Yes, this is emotive, Dr. Jacalyn and JENETTA. Thank you, George. Anything you'd like to say to
George?
George?
Well, by the way, Shamim, George is in Ongata Rongai. So he's in Nairobi, and he and I are meeting up next week, and he's been on some of the other shows that Dr. Jacalyn has done. So it's a pleasure to introduce you both. So thank you, George.
Thank you.
And did you say there was some more, or is
they're
that
from
it?
George? Yeah, they're from
Dr.
George. So.
Okay. So, Shamim, you know, when you realized what it is that if the terrorist hadn't attacked you, what would be missing in your life now? Apart from the obvious, which is your trees.
Well, the trees would have still been there. They might not have been trees for peace, but the trees would have been there. But the one thing that I am doing is that I'd seen a photograph of a double amputee on Everest. He's a double amputee Sherpa, and he was photographed at the Everest base camp. And this was about two and a half years ago. I'd seen the photograph, and I thought I had a very pronounced limp up to that time, and I thought, you know what? I need to take my message higher and further. And the highest point in the world is Everest. I know I can't summit because I had a collapsed lung when I was shot. But what I can do is maybe attempt Everest. And I came out and told my family, I'm going to Everest. And my brother said, well, let's try the stairs first, and then let's talk about Everest. And here we are, and I've lost the limp. I've got stronger legs, which I never really planned on having. Everest wouldn't have happened. And I think I joined Rotary. I'm an active member of the Rotary Club and the Environmental Rotary Club, all the things which came into play. And I think generally I've become a kinder human being to myself, because often we're kinder to others, but not to ourselves. We're very critical of ourselves. And I used to be extremely demanding on myself. Everything had to be perfect. And media demanded it, radio demanded it. I worked as a voice artist, and if my voice wasn't right on the day, I would get so upset and so frustrated. And of course, the voice went worse. Now I've realized, calm down. It's fine. If it doesn't happen in the moment, it'll happen tomorrow. It doesn't happen tomorrow, it's fine. People accept you for what you are. I've stopped striving to be a perfectionist. I enjoy myself a lot more. I've simplified life. It's got expensive taste, I do admit that. I'm guilty of that. But the little things in life. I was nil by mouth for about 4 days in hospital. And I still remember the first cap. They gave a tiny little cap of water. That was the best water I've ever drunk. And even now, when I've had a bad day, I think, poor me or why me, all these crazy things that we think about, I drink a little bit of water and it takes me back right where I was. That first drink after 4 days of being nil by mouth, and everything becomes easier to deal with.
So profound. I'm just so blessed that you were here today with the story, because there's so many lessons in there for people. There, like when you were talking about how hard we are on ourselves, I know Jeanette is hard on herself. I'm hard on myself. We're perfectionists about everything. And just to think about letting go of all of that, I can almost feel like a weight being lifted. And so you've really inspired that in me. So I thank you for that. What I'm wondering is, with the work that you're doing for peace, what message would you like to resonate with the world? What is your legacy after you're gone? What do the trees mean?
The environment is like us. Unless we look after it and are gentle with the environment, we're gentle with ourselves and the environment, we'll have less wars, less aggression. The people who shot me were angry. They were angry people. You don't pull a trigger because you're a happy person. I've never seen a happy person shoot somebody else. Never. It's always anger. And I think that's something that we've got to really train ourselves to be less angry. And that's how I hope people will remember me for. That, you know, they can think of me and think with a smile, or think with gentleness, or, you know, look at a river or the mountain or the trees and think of me. I think that will be my legacy. And be happy with themselves. That's crucial.
I applaud that. That's a beautiful legacy. Thank you.
Thank you.
And in actual fact, we've got Shamim's website, the Trees for Peace website, to have a look at. And do you want to explain it a little bit to us, or is it as it is?
I think it is good as it is. I think people will. The difference is one thing that did happen between that photograph and now is, I believe this is what happens when you've been through a traumatic incident, is you lose the color of your hair. So I started coloring my hair to keep it dark, and then I realized that wasn't me anymore. That girl, person, lady, whatever. I'm 62 now, and I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to allow my hair to be as it is, and I'm enjoying the silver hair. And I think that's a transformation. That is me allowing myself to be who I want to be. And Trees for Peace is my walk in life. It is, and I hope that many people will walk with me. I'm writing a book. Hopefully it comes out soon. The book is called The Everest Within My Heart, because we all have great mountains to climb. Some, you know, mine's an actual mountain, hopefully, but people will be people every single day. JENETTA walked a huge mountain. Dr. Jacalyn, I read about your background, and you know, you're doing an amazing thing with what you're doing. That's a mountain in itself. So we all have these mountains, what I call the Everest, within our own hearts. And I hope that resonates with people around the world.
Absolutely. By the way, your hair is beautiful. I was thinking that when I met you backstage, how stunning it is.
Thank you. Thank you.
It really is. I think silver hair is very striking, and I did exactly the same. I also went grey overnight, and now I'm just so happy with my hair as it is. So very, very happy. Oh, there's a picture of your dad and mum, Shamim. I've met your dad, not your mum.
Yes. My dad suffered from PTSD after Westgate, and my dad passed away about 3 years ago. So we lost Dad from PTSD from Westgate. And that's Mum, a little bit lower, a stunning lady, very full of life, and the most amazing human being you've ever met was my mother. Both my parents did a lot. And living by the mountain, I think, also helps. I think it picks up energy. I think there is so much we can do in this world. It's not always about me. It's also about what I can share with somebody else. Can I make a difference in one person's life every single day of my life? That's my achievement. There's a photograph of me in the hospital, healing up. And that was when I'd had the second surgery to take out the grenade shrapnel, the grenade case from my ankle. So that was a big moment, a very big moment for me, getting better. But I actually thought I was going to lose my leg. It was so badly infected. And the photograph that's to the lower left with everyone hugging a tree is actually in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa. It was a tree that was planted in honor of people like myself at the African Union headquarters. And the tree's now 9 years old. So I'm really happy the tree's there. And it was really hard going down on my knees because I was still on the crutch. But yeah, here we are. Life goes on and we get better with each day.
Wow, you look just like your mom, by the way.
Yes, that is so
two beautiful
true.
ladies. So how
Thank
does it
you.
work, Trees for Peace? For
Well,
our
Trees for
audience who's
Peace
not familiar. Sorry.
I've tried to, raise funds on my own. I design my own jewelry, sell the jewelry and raise funds, and then donate the trees on to people where they can come to a good cause. Schools, people. Mostly we've done fruit trees because that was something that I never ate when I was in hospital. But I suddenly craved it. This whole craving came through. Maybe it gave me some excellent blood in hospital. But yeah, so a lot of trees are being planted around Kenya, a few around other places. But the idea is not to plant millions of trees. The idea is to grow trees now. I've learned that term joining Rotary, that it's not about planting trees, it's about growing trees. They need a lot of time, the attention, just like a human being, give them love and attention and they grow and flourish. Now we're looking at, hopefully I can raise awareness on peace and the environment with the trek to the base camp. We're looking at maybe November this year. I had some complications. I had a lung infection a couple of weeks back. So I've been asked to sort of take it easy. Maybe not do Everest this year unless I can get it all clear, but it's going to happen. Whether I get to base camp or whether I get it to the first step on the Everest trek, it's got to happen. It has to happen because I do believe that that journey is mine, but not only mine. I think I'll be carrying a lot of people with me in my heart and maybe hopefully inspire people that, there's nothing you cannot achieve if you wish so. I look at JENETTA's story and, when JENETTA was telling me about Jenny, and it shook me that, a parent to go through that. And I now associate with it because my dad struggled with PTSD from just having seen me, weeks in hospital, having pulled my car out, going in there and listening to people's trauma. And he'd ask me every day, how are you today? And I'd say, I'm fine, absolutely fine. And he'd say, but the doctors are saying it's something else. And I said, well, the doctors don't know what's going on. It's fine. But I was saying it's fine because of my father. I didn't want him to know the reality of what I was going through. And so that's my journey. And I think the Everest is just part of the trip. I think that's a journey in my own life. But I think a lot of people strive to do something different. My biggest moment was becoming a skydiver, an accelerated freefaller in New Jersey. And I realized that was that point. I can't skydive anymore because I won't be allowed to. But walking, we all walk. Some of us walk physically, some of us walk mentally. But the walking is what's driven me and is driving me, and I hope it can drive other people to achieve their dreams. It's not about a big mountain. It's the little steps towards becoming a better version for yourself. That's the only way we can change the world.
So well said. I've always been fascinated with trees, especially when I'm in Florida. There are these huge trees and the roots just spread and spread. And then you have people complaining about how these man-made paths are breaking and cracking because the roots are growing. And I think, wow, they were here first, right? And they withstand so much. And they're here sometimes for 100 years and more. And so I feel like if we could be more like you, if we could be more like the trees, what would our world be like?
Well, I think the trees would teach us to be calm. And I think maybe that comes with age, but I think also things that, you know, our children get exposed to. I don't have children, but I've seen children. And when I remember children talking about killing the people who shot me, and I thought to myself, oh my God, why would a child want to do that? Why would a child want to walk that path, which is of anger and hate? And I realized what it was. Our children are exposed to so much anger and aggression, even in the homes. Turn on the television, what do they see? So as adults, you know, something fantastic, I don't use that word at all. People would say, oh, that's mind-blowing. And that scares me, because mind-blowing means something really terrible, and you definitely don't want to see somebody who's been through that. It's a horrific sight. And so if we start changing our narrative on the words we use, then things will become better. And I think that would start to ease a lot of people's problems. I was in the States and doing a little talk there, and it was amazing because I asked people to drink a bit of water before we started the conversation. And the first thing they said was, some of them said, oh, but I'd rather have coffee. And I said, well, actually, if I'm talking, then please, it's a humble request, a little bit of water so we can start. And it was incredible because they said that they were more attentive, they felt awake, and they looked into themselves and heard themselves rather than just listening to me. And I think that was my job done for that day.
Thank you. I know we're coming to the end, but I do have one more question. I'm just wondering, from that day, from that event, was there a community of others like you who came together and something happened as a result?
I think people tried. A lot of people tried. I've tried to connect with as many people who went through the day, because there was hundreds of us and their families. But I think I had the great opportunity of being with media, so I could reach out to anybody anywhere. You know, I was on radio, and that made it easier for people to open up. I still get a lot of letters, and people will communicate and send me a message, or Facebook. I'm very active on Twitter. I'm a huge Twitter fan, and it's at Shamim Allu 1. And I think people do resonate with that. And also people who've been through a similar kind of trauma, no matter where they are in the world, we sort of have a bond. I know I was talking to somebody who witnessed one of the shootings, a school shooting in the United States, and we were talking about, you know, how they changed and how they turned anger into something positive. And I thought, that maybe that's why people like myself go through this, to help others make sure that they get a better life, a better opportunity. They're heard. They don't need to be angry to be heard.
Thank you. JENETTA, last question over to you.
Well, I think I'm out of questions, because I think you've covered it and embraced it and hugged this whole conversation, Shamim. As always, it's always a pleasure and delight to spend time with you. And I know, having you behind World Jenny's Day in the background, Shamim was part of the very first World Jenny's Day in 2020. She interviewed me. She was one of the interviewers on that day of our 5 hours online in 2020. So she holds a very special place in World Jenny's Day. And your energy and your love just shine through. And it's just such an honor to have you here today and to be able to share that energy and light and your message, because I always say, if it can make a difference to one person, but I can guarantee this has made a difference to a lot of people out there today. So thank you.
Thank you, JENETTA. Thank you for walking my path in life with me. And Dr. Jacalyn, thank you for this opportunity. I can't thank you enough. Thank you is a very small world. But yes, I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart.
Well, it's my pleasure. It's our pleasure. It's an honor. And I'm so glad that you are here on our platform for our network to get to know you, and hopefully some collaborations will come from it. So I'm going to spotlight you. And if you could share with people, you did give your Twitter handle. If you could give that again. I went over and followed you. I thought I was following you in all the places, but I missed that one. So how can people reach out to you, and how can people support your work?
Well, I think the next project is going to be water. So hopefully the Everest walk is happening. I need help getting my book together. I'm sort of penning it every day, coming up with chapters. We've got down to 11 chapters. But the Everest within my heart is everyone's story. It's not just going to be my story. But you can reach out to me on Twitter, which is at Shamim Allu 1. I don't know where the 1 came from. I'm really sorry about it, but it's there. It's just like my name, small undercase, and it's a 1. I love Instagram. I'm a social media buff. Love it. Follow me there as well if you like. Facebook, I'm active, but not so active. And of course, my buddies, JENETTA Barry, always knows exactly where I am in the world. So you can contact her. And let's stay together. And let's do something special, both for USA Global TV and Radio and JENETTA's Jenny's Day, because that's what humanity is when we reach out towards each other. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we hope you'll come back on some of our other shows. Planet Earth would be a great one, and the Corner Bookstore when you're finished writing your book. So we want to continue getting that beautiful, radiant love and energy that you're spreading here today. Thank you.
Thank you.
JENETTA, how can people reach out to you, and who would you like to contact you?
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. So anybody who would like to chat to me about changing the internal conversations inside them that often contradict, where you think one thing logically and your emotions think the opposite, and there's a lot of conflict going on there, and hands up, who of us haven't had that happen to us at least once in our lives, but I think it's quite a regular thing for most of us. So if you'd like to get hold of me to talk about gaining the skills to even out those conversations so that they don't contradict anymore, you can get me at JENETTA, JENETTA, at theepiphanyprocess.com. And you can visit theepiphanyprocess.com to find out more about the process and how powerful and accurate it is. It's helped many, many people. I ask questions that really get people to think and go, wow, as Shamim just shared with you. And then if you'd like to get involved or be part of or be there on the day of World Jenny's Day, go to worldjennysday.com, WORLDJENNYSDAY.com for more information. And you can get hold of me on either of those websites, and I will get back to you almost immediately. And thank you again, Dr. Jacalyn.
Thank you so much, JENETTA. And our next show is coming up. It's the United Kingdom News and Culture, so please do stay with us for that. Also, I want to thank our sponsors. Specifically today, this show is brought to us in part by the British School of Excellence and Mr. Philip Sykes. Let's take a look. Please stay around and watch the sponsorship, and we'll see you back again soon. Thank you. This program is brought to you in part by the British School of Excellence and founder, Mr. Philip Sykes. Building confidence, changing lives. Do you share our view that etiquette is a set of modern life skills that are essential for personal and professional success? Join us as an etiquette coach and change people's lives through the power of etiquette and manners.
The last few days have been really amazing. I had the trainer course from the British School of Etiquette.
And I must say it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made and one of the best investments I've made in my own training and development.
Now, words alone will not describe the transformation and the positive path that I have traveled with the British School of Etiquette.
I found really, I learned a lot from the lessons this time I came.
The last few days with the British School of Etiquette have been fantastic.
And what I've learned now is really beyond my expectations.
This is the most rewarding experience and the best investment I have made this year.
It was just great. I learned so much, and when I go back to Belgium, I will incorporate a lot of it into my day-to-day life and business.
It's been absolutely wonderful for the whole week that we were here.
I feel transformed, and I feel like blowing a trumpet and tell people, come and do this school. This class is the best. This is the best school ever.
You should take it. It will change your life immediately.
I am now able to teach other people how to bring the best of them.
Thank you.
Thank you, BSc.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you to our clients for their testimonials on the Train the Trainer program. Our exponential and global growth is so significant that we've evolved from the British School of Etiquette to the British School of Excellence, where we're investors in people. Let us invest in you and your career. Contact us to become an etiquette coach. Go to thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. Start your career and elevate your success today.